the technique you use.
Folks, this is Al Puglisi tonight with Legends in the Hobby. Tommy Gilbert, say hi, Tommy.
Hi, gentlemen.
And Howard Zane, another.
Hey, Al, how you doing?
And let's talk about, we were just talking about years ago this layout was in lichen instead of ground foam. So, Howard, why don't you talk to us about...
Well, one thing I'll talk about first is this gentleman here, Tommy. And I've known Tommy since 1969, which is a long friggin' time ago. And this layout could not have been built without Tommy's help, because I've been run out of materials at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe here the next day. I called Tommy, and he was fabulous. He still is. So I named a couple areas after Tommy. One after his ex, was it Maisie? Maisie's,
Yep.
and Maisie's Gulch, and
Yep.
Gilbert's
She
Gulch
passed away.
on the layout. Over here, Al, these are names of all these people
Uh-huh.
that actually half of them are gone now, unfortunately. These are people that actually helped a little bit. Now, as far as building the layout, there's a thing with the people who know me and who work with me. I am not allowed below the bench, because I'll screw up wiring. I know how to do it, but I'll screw it up. And nor is anybody allowed above the bench, except for a few exceptions. One was a fellow named Michael Williams, who's living in New York now. He's an O-scaler. And then Scott Nichols, who's Scott is the general manager of the Timonium show.
Wow.
He's an excellent modeler. These are the only people allowed to work.
Wow.
And of course, you and Andrew are cleaning the track.
Right, we're cleaning the track and vacuuming this
Matter
thing.
of fact, you're on that list because what happened about several months ago, the ceiling collapsed. We had a huge storm.
Right, I remember.
The water got in the house, and these asbestos tiles, when they're soaked, they weigh about 20 to 30 pounds of water. So it came down on the layout, crashed, just knocked the whole. It didn't ruin the structures. It cut, 4 of my hopper cars went trapezoidal. Or that way there, and I fixed those. But all we had to do was actually prop the thing up, and Al did that. And, did a hell of a job.
And we repaired it, yeah.
So
You just need the question mark fixed.
need the question mark fixed.
Yeah, we'll show you that scene. So you started with lichen. So tell us about the lichen versus the ground foam.
Well, the lichen is that was the thing. A lot of layouts back in the '60s were, they used lichen for shrubbery and whatever, and so did I. And it's not bad. It looks pretty good. You could actually take lichen and put ground foam over the lichen with hairspray.
Right.
It works out pretty well too. I never did that. And then I was up at Tommy's shop about 40 years ago, and they discovered these ground clusters, woodland scenics ground. So they came in 4 popular colors. So I bought over 1,000 bags over the period of time.
Oh my God, from Tommy?
Mostly from Tommy, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Not all at once.
Yeah.
I should have bought them at once. I could have got a better
Give you a
deal.
super discount.
Well, you gave me a good discount. Yeah.
And Tommy, you've been in business since when?
Well, I worked for my uncle for 18 years.
Okay.
And then I've been on my own since '87.
Oh, wow.
So,
No, Al, this gentleman back here is Adam. He works with Tommy. And this gentleman here is Gary Mandel. Is it?
Adam, how you doing?
Good. What?
Manville.
Manville.
Yeah, what was your name? I'm sorry?
Gary Manville.
Gary
Now,
Manville.
Gary, you talk about structures. This guy does some work that is phenomenal. He's building, he's researching and building historic Gettysburg, which he had there on display at Tommy's shop. Now, anybody within 100 miles of Gettysburg, you must visit Tommy's shop. It's something to see. And a lot of Gary's work's on display there.
Wow.
Now, I've been building structures for years, and this guy here is absolutely fabulous. Remember I told you, I walked into your store, I took a look at all your buildings. I said, son of a bitch, if I had the room, I'd buy every damn building in your store.
yeah. He just finished the McMillan barn. Or farm. Which one did you put the slots in?
That I brought you today.
Yeah.
The which one was it? I kept on ringing so many.
McPherson barn?
McPherson barn. Those 2. I brought you 2 McPherson barns
Yeah.
today.
McPherson Barn, what is that?
Midori barn.
That's out on Route 30, west
These are
of
actual
Gettysburg.
structures. Well,
These
how are
are
you doing the research? Are you able to get the plans or photographs?
I do a lot of walking of the buildings. I've been able to get into some of the buildings.
So you spend a lot of time out here then?
I spent a lot of time walking, measuring, but I taught history for 31 years. So, and the Civil War has always been my
Me too.
biggest interest. So
Well, I play old time music. We do a lot of Civil War tunes, which I love.
nice.
And, gee,
What's the new barn they're restoring now?
But Tommy, tell us about the store.
Well, we relocated over on East Water Street in 1987 and built it up from there. And Howard was helpful in getting us restarted, and the customer base supported us because it was a crosstown move. My uncle had retired, and it's been working out for 37 years now.
And it's Gilbert's Hobby Shop in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania.
Well, he sold the corporate name, so I used my first name, Tommy Gilbert's Hobby.
Okay.
You know.
Because every month in Model Railroader as a teenager, when I was in the 70s, every single month there was a Tommy Gilbert's or Gilbert's Hobby Shop ad.
You know, those ads were only like $200 a month. Now
Really?
they're over $2,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the advertising's really going up.
So
one thing I should mention, and you should be aware of this. A lot of people go to Mainline Hobby Supply, which is 7 miles from Tommy, and they're known for their supplies and detail parts and so forth. This guy in the back of the store has got more than Mainline has.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know what I thought. I'll start opening your drawers.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah, we try and keep a good stock going in there.
Wow.
Parts.
We will visit it. We will visit it
Oh, I
and
hope
film
so.
Gilbert.
Come up.
Yes, we will
When
visit
I was
it.
flying as a corporate pilot, okay, I used to carry in my flight bag. I would always carry a Model Railroad magazine. And I was flying for Subaru, so it always, we were setting up dealerships all over the country. So I always, I must have seen 100 different, actually maybe 300 different hobby shops, because the layover would be like 4 hours at the airport.
Right.
And then, so what do? So I'll rent a car, borrow a car from the fixed base operator, and go into town and visit a local hobby shop.
Right.
I saw tons of these hobby shops. That's why I started mine, because I wanted to start on the mistakes. I saw others, except mine lasted 2 years, only because I had a chance to go back in aviation for 6 times what I was making at the store. I couldn't turn that down. However, the point is, this guy's shop, Tommy's shop, and Mainline Hobby Supply are the 2 finest hobby shops in the country.
Right. Where do you see the hobby going, Tommy? I mean, are there a lot of young people or no? Or
Well, we're starting to see some young people come into it, and I hope they do, because there's nothing like building and creating.
Right.
Yeah, and I think if we can reinvent the wheel, and the shows and the shows like are in fair halls or places where they can see a layout and say, this is what you can do,
Right.
to learn the hobby. And the stuff's available. It's not like it's not available. It's here. And the techniques are here, and the YouTube channel shows a lot of how-tos,
Right.
so they can pick it up. So this is what we're trying to do, and we're trying to educate our clientele into how to do it,
Well, Howard, you've been instrumental showing this layout ever, like I said, since the mid '70s, because you don't understand until you come down here and see a layout like this.
Absolutely.
Well, actually, I had the other layouts were started. I started the first layout in 1970, the year I bought the house. Now, I've been in the same damn house for 52 years.
Right.
I bought this house actually 7 days after I got out of the Army.
But the point I'm making is when young kids like myself walk down here and see this, they are hooked for the rest of their lives.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You've got to see it with your own eyes.
A person created this.
Right.
That's they got to understand.
Now, you asked Tommy a question where he sees the hobby going. Okay, let me interject one thing. And that is my background, is industrial design.
Mhm.
And the key to industrial design is KISS, keep it simple. Now, people have come down here and asked me about the wiring and how it's done. I said, well, it's just simple, just 2 wires to the rail. And one of the gentlemen was here one night. So what are these boxes for? He said, well, those are individual, location boxes for the operating the train. That's different regions. And I made the mistake of opening the box up. You want to show this?
Yeah, you scared the crap out of him when he saw the wiring. Yeah, yeah.
Every
Oh,
box.
yeah.
Well, they literally knocked each other over trying to get up the stairs and out of the house. So. The future of the hobby, I feel, and you might want to listen to this, is dead rail. If you know what that is.
Yep.
That's the future.
Folks, dead rail is the battery-powered locomotives.
Put a charging track, it's on the siding, and we'll back your locomotive after you run it. Let it charge overnight, and there you go.
You don't have to worry about track power. You
Just
don't have to
wire the
worry
switches,
about.
that's all.
You don't have to worry about the cleanliness of the track. None of it.
But it's available in other scales, but not in HO.
Tommy, is there any talk? I mean, have you seen anything in HO with dead rail yet?
I haven't heard anything
No, I
about
haven't
it.
heard
I've heard
it.
people talk about it,
Right.
but I haven't heard anything. But I think it's a great concept. Yeah,
Right.
and I think the market's there for it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, is it ever?
Yeah.
Especially the older folks. Like I can't get into this layout now.
Right.
Yeah, remember that I had duck unders?
Yep.
And the original city of Piermont now was torn down in 2007. Why? Because one visitor, his friends called him Circumference. Now, why? Because he was over 450 pounds, so
Right.
he wanted to get under the duck unders. And the dumb son of a bitch went to ramming speed. He got stuck in between there. So we had two pushing the caboose and two pulling. We couldn't get the guy out of there.
Wow.
And he was in his 70s, and after a while, the angle he was hurting. So I had to get the Sawzall, and I had to cut him out of the layout.
My God.
So I said, oh shit, that's it, no more duck unders. So
That's
the
it.
following day, some of the guys from 4 County Society came down, and within 4 hours, we had that whole section gutted.
Yeah.
So rebuilt it.
Wow.
Now, in my book, the photographs were taken in 2006. So the photographs show the original section, original town of Piermont. The subsequent photographs and layouts, subsequent layout photos that appeared in magazines and video of the new Piermont.
Wow. Yeah, there's a picture in the book of you stuck in a scene where I think Sandy had to call the fire
Yes.
department or something and fish you out.
No, she got me out.
Oh, she got you out.
Well, I had to take it down. What I did, I was working at the thing by Maisie's Gulch.
Yeah.
I was working behind and working like this, and all of a sudden I just realized, oh shit, I'm stuck in the layout. So Sandy's office is upstairs. I'm cursing and hollering. It took me 4 hours before she fought me, and I had to take a serious leak because I couldn't get out of this damn layout. I was stuck. Yeah.
Wow.
So at that point, I decided to lose weight.
All right, Tommy, what do you think of the future of brass? Let's talk a little bit about brass. That's a hobby in itself, so.
It is. There's collecting, and then there's the average, $300, $400, $500 engine. People can paint, get DCC in, and run them. And then there's the collector, the Crown Series, the super limited run. I think the market is still there.
Right.
I really do. I have people that they buy the Broadway Limited, nice stuff, but they come in and they see it in brass and they buy it in brass.
Plus, you
So
can't.
I think it's still a good market.
Yeah, you can't get everything in
No,
brass.
and they're not producing anything that much that I know of.
Right.
What do you think, Hal?
Well, I totally agree. Because if anybody's modeling, let's say the Norfolk and Western in 1948, you're not going to find what you want in plastic, so you have to go to brass.
Right.
Just about everything, I'd say probably 70% of everything that the major known railroads have had on the roster has been modeled in brass. It can't be done in plastic.
Yeah, what ticks me off is how many big boy editions do you need?
They sell.
Right,
Yeah.
but it's like, what about a Yellowstone? For God's sake, well, nobody wants to make a Yellowstone. Nobody wants to make a Western Maryland Challenger. Nobody wants to make a 4-truck Shay.
It would be nice to be made in Western Maryland Challenge.
But in brass you can get all that.
Now, the main thing about brass, it's more of an art, and the frustrating thing about it, it's a hobby within a hobby, as Tommy said, but it's never been taken out of the hobby. If this were displayed at a collectible show like the one in Atlantic City, and the matter of fact, I started an importing company with Roy Brackman and Bobby Hunter, and we were going to, unfortunately they passed away, but our plans were to introduce brass to the collectible world. Now everything's collectible, people know about it. Now trains, everybody has a liking for trains.
Right.
They sure know about it, and there's so many things for the average collector. It's fine art, basically.
It is.
Workable, it's handmade versus production.
Right.
It's that simple.
Right.
And if you want the finest, that's brass. The other reason is that it's not going to depreciate as fast as plastic or die cast.
Right.
There was a time up until 1997 you could actually play the market, buy brass as an investment. Then it started going downhill from 97. I mean, people who had the brass were dying or going to smaller quarters. They're fishing off the end of a bridge down in South Florida with a stupid hat on and a Hawaiian shirt.
Wow.
And And also they moved to smaller quarters. And so they were selling their collections. They still are, actually. There's always, if you get eBay, everybody has a collection they just bought.
Right.
And these are the older folks. The new folks coming in, they're inspired by the electronics and the operation.
Right.
And that's what does it.
But you can put all that in brass.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. And
Can
that's
be
all.
put in.
And that's
Now-
what's on this layout,
Now, I
folks.
talked about depreciation. Okay, I have bought brass engines. Now, when I sold my collection, there were several thousand pieces that I sold. That's what BrassTrains.com. I started that. It was called the Paramount Division. That was the website. And I sold to Dan Glazier in 2005. And he kind of left me in the dust because he did great. Hang on.
Folks, we had to pause. Go back, Howard. I'm sorry.
Okay, so my collection started basically with one model. Bought it and sold it, bought it and sold it, and kept adding and adding. I did buy a few collections, but I sold those. But my own collection started with one. Just kept.
Wow.
And you could actually buy a locomotive for $300 at those in the pre-97 days, and you want to sell it 10 years later, you still get $300 out of it, maybe more.
Folks-
Certain models have appreciated tremendously.
Oh, yeah.
Now, in 1963, I was a lowly second lieutenant in the Army. You know, the pay was like $219 a month, and went to a hobby shop in Paramus, New Jersey, called Highway Hobbies. And walked downstairs, and they had a whole case of brass. And there was one locomotive that caught my eye, and unfortunately I made the mistake of taking my first wife with me.
Uh-oh.
She says, "You buy that, I'm out of here."
Uh-oh.
I didn't buy it. Okay, end of story.
All right.
Maybe end of story. Now, in 1997, which was the peak of brass sales or brass activity, there was an auction at Sotheby's, and this model, which was a Kansas City Southern 210-4, there were only 12 of these made by Nakayama, whatever, one of those guys, and it sold for $28,000.
Good Lord.
And the fellow who wrote the check was for $34,000 for one locomotive. Why? Because he had buyer's premium and state and county tax.
Wow. Wow.
So that's what it came to. So that's the sublime. I mean, you're not going to get appreciation like that. But I have had models that actually have doubled the value.
Wow.
But I never, when I sold brass as a professional, I never told people to buy as an investment. Why? Because you like the choo-choo.
Right.
You want to play with the damn thing.
Buy what you like.
Buy what you like. You might get your money out of it. You might make a small profit. But buy that. Just forget that, the money part. Just, lay out the money, yeah, but forget about appreciation.
Well, we will talk more about brass in an upcoming episode.
It's thousands of words.
Yes.
He said,
Thanks, Howard.
yeah, thank you, Al.